All right, we're going to go ahead and get started again. So let's just quickly review what we kind of covered today. We've covered a lot. Usually lectures don't go this far into the afternoon. Usually they're done in the morning. So the general structure of Code Platoon, in the morning it's code reviews, challenge reviews, and that the current day's lectures, like the current day's topics. And then in the afternoon is generally when you are actually working on the challenges and pretty much for the rest of the day. You might have a few breakout sessions during that time if everyone needs help or you're pair programming, but we're usually done lecturing around 11 at the latest. Sometimes it goes more or later. Sometimes it's done earlier, like 10:30 or something like that, depending on how complex the challenges are, depending on how complex the actual lecture topic is as well. What's that? We're just going to continue. We're going to cover a little more about VS Code because this is where you're going to be spending majority of your time is in VS Code. There's, as I mentioned before, there's plenty of other text editors. There's, Sublime. It's kind of nice. Sublime's down here. It's kind of pretty. It's not as, I've used it for a while, but VS Code is the bread and butter. So here's when I just open up the term, like a I term. Oh. I'm gonna open up VS Code by using the code command. Click enter. And here's VS Code. This is how it pops up. Over on the left-hand side, here are these icons that you have that are here. The very top one is the Explorer. This is like the current working directory that you're in. And right now there aren't any folders that I'm currently located in. So nothing is showing up here. I haven't opened a folder yet. Here is a search and replace. So you can search anything in your current working directory that's open in VS Code. And if you want to find a method or if you want to find a variable throughout your application and see where it goes and just the general control flow or the direction the data flow is, this is a good way to find where all the variables or all the methods are used. This is your source control. You won't need to know about this right now, but it involves Git and when you're pushing to GitHub and everything. Down here, I don't know what this is. Yeah, I've actually never used this before. I think it's a good debugging tool. Here's the extensions. You're familiar with this. You've installed all these extensions. After you installed VS Code Live Share, this little thing showed up. And this is how you actually start a live sharing session. So I can share VS Code, like my VS Code with somebody out and give them read-write permissions so they're able to edit our code together. It's when you're collaborating together, pair programming. And we'll get into more with VS Code Live Share tomorrow. All right. So majority of the time you'll be working in here. You'll have your folder up here. We talked about the built-in terminal that you're going to be running your code in. You're executing your code. You're going to be navigating your computer in this terminal, the built-in terminal. There's a quick way to get to it. It's Control tilde, and it opens and closes the terminal. It's like this. Over here you have your bash profile, your different types of profiles open or your terminals open. You can have more than one. You can have two bash right here. You can so I've got bash 1, bash 2. So for example, in bash 1, if I cd to the desktop, not delete helper functions, desktop, and then if I go to bash 2, it's at a different one. It's a totally different terminal. And you can kill a terminal by this little kill terminal. It's a trash can, so I kill the second terminal. Clear, I'm CDing. I can also create side-by-side terminals, so I can split the terminal. This is also kind of nice. You can have your server running on one side, and you can be like debugging other code on their next side. Right there. What else? CD code platoon. So how I organize my computer, I have a code platoon folder, and in my code platoon folder, I have it broken out by cohorts. So say I want to open my code platoon directory within VS Code. So we learned the code command, right? What if I do code? What was it? Oh my God, I just drew a blank. Oh yeah, no, it's code space dash R space period. And what it's going to do, it's going to open up the code platoon directory within VS Code. So it's going to click it, it closes it out, and it reloads it. So right now, I've got my VS Code open. I've got my Juliet platoon, Kilo platoon, Lima platoon. And I've got the curriculum. This is just what I have. I have a test.js file. I've got challenges. This is where I store all my challenges at. And I highly recommend you have a very specific folder where you store all of your challenges. It's gonna get, you can get really lost really quickly, or when you're not organized, when you don't have the right folder architecture or folder structure. So for me, I have it broken out by, platoon and then challenges. You don't have to need curriculum. All you really need is a challenges folder and throw all your challenges in there. So right now I'm in my cold platoon, but I want to CD into Lima. So right here. So I have Lima challenges here. I can also create folders and files in here. So in my Lima platoon, I can create a file called, test2.js. That's one way to do it. And my test2 is open up now, up here, and it's open right here. So here's the folder that I'm currently located in, or that's open up in VS Code. This is my cold platoon directory. And the current file that's open is test2. So it says open editors right there. But in my terminal, I'm located in my Lima platoon, which is fine. When you open a file in the terminal, so I want to open test2, if I click it once, it opens. But right here, how it's italicized, that means it's not officially open, because if I just go to test1, it switches to test1. Test2. So it switches between the two. If I want it to officially stay, I can double click, and now it's no longer italicized, and now it's officially in there. So now I can do that. Now it's still there. Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Let's explore some of the stuff we installed to see kind of some of the extensions we installed. ls. So I'm going to create a file called hello, a JavaScript file called hello. So I'm in my Lima platoon. I'm in the directory. I'm in the terminal. I'm currently in the Lima platoon. Touch hello. I'm going to want to create a JS file. So I create, and right here, the hello comes up. I just can double click that. So now my hello is up there. If I wanted to create a variable in JavaScript, let name equal, Tom. Save it. So how everything's kind of color coded nicely. It's nice. If I wanted to create an array of student names, student attendance, cool. So if I want to create an array of student names, I can do like let array, or actually, let's do console log hello. So if I'm, let's see. What is this called right now? This right here.
string interpolation.
Thank you. What's another way I can write this? I do like hello.
It's a dot format.
I'm sorry?
Is it a dot format at the end of the string?
Dot format. Does that work? Is that working? Is that Python?
That's Python.
Okay.
I think it's Python.
Never mind. Doing something else
Cool.
in Python yesterday.
All right, good. So how do I run this hello.js file in the terminal, in the console?
Node.
So I can,
Node.js.
right. So node is the command to run a JavaScript file in the console. So I can do it. Hello.js. Right there, I have hello Tom, they're both equal. If I wanted to create an array of student names, I'm looking how to spell name, sorry. And it's, well, Maggie, right?
What hotkey did you just use right there
Which one? This one?
to do the quotes with the highlighted?
Yep. So hotkey is, so I'll do it right here. If I do Daniel Lindbergh, so I was like, oh crap, it's not a string because a string needs quotes. I'm highlighting the whole thing. So it's literally just highlighted and I just put the quotes there. Bam.
Hey, Tom, can you show them the two way? The way you just did it was you highlighted word by word, right? You use like
that?
Yeah, you're highlighting word chunks at a time. There's like
Yep.
highlighting letter at a time, and then there's highlighting word chunks at a time. And there's two different hotkeys for that.
Yep. So thank you for, if anybody sees me doing anything, then you're like, oh, I want to know how to do that. Stop me and like, oh, well, what does that hotkey? And that's what kind of this whole thing is going to be about. This whole session is going to be about is how to effectively use shortcuts, keys to make you more efficient. So in order to highlight one letter at a time, I'm holding shift over. And a lot of this is done like second nature, so like I don't memorize it. So, and then if I want to highlight an individual word, it's option shift. So option shift, done. So up until this point, I'm sure most of you are just familiar with writing code in Replit, which is an online integrated development network or environment. So like everything was done in here originally via like your pre-work and everything. So what we're doing here is like right here is the actual like VS Code, and here's where like the actual terminal is. But console log, hello. Oh yeah, let's just say hello. So in order to run this, all I have to type is run, which works, but maybe in the future, everybody's going to move to an online IDE, but like it's not going to be anytime soon. So back to VS Code. I just created a list of student names. If I wanted to create an array that loops through each name and says, hello, Aussie, Jose, Mackie, Daniel, Lindbergh, whatever, and Jason. If I wanted to create an array that loops through that, I can literally just go like for each, and it automatically knows that, hey, you're creating a for each. So I'll I'll create the skeleton of a for each method, for each code for you. So let's do that again. So if I write for each, it already does that. And it already highlights this array for me because it knows, like, more than likely it's letting me know that this should be an array. But that's probably going to have to change. So student names, not for each element. Now, if I wanted to say hello, you know, I'll say Mackie, Daniel, Jason. How do I do that? What should I type right here? So this for each method is a built-in method off of an array. So it takes in an array right here and it says for each element, execute some code. So
You
I'll
could
do
copy
like,
baseline too,
yeah, I can,
and then
Honest-
use element instead of name.
yep. So I can say, so console log hello instead of name, because this element represents each element in here. I can do element, and then I'm down here in my terminal again. I'm node, hello JS. It says hello Tom, hello whatever. And then instead of an element, I could just keep it as name because you want to describe your variables and your parameters to as close as possible to what the actual item that it actually is. So for each name, console log hello name. So node hello Tom, hello Ose, hello Mackie, hello Daniel, hello Jason. What's another way I can do a for each? What am I essentially just doing?
Loop,
What's that? Can you hear?
looping through it with a for loop.
For loop, right. So instead of doing this, I can create like a for loop. And so before I actually create a for loop, one of the VS Code extensions we downloaded, I think it was called Beautify, or no, it's Balanced Brackets. I think that's what it was. And see how here, like it's a yellow bracket followed by an ending bracket is also the same color. Same with here, this open parentheses followed by a yellow open parenthesis or a closed parentheses. And see how they're all kind of different colors? That's an easy way when your code starts to get really large to like keep track of parentheses, because a lot of time in JavaScript, you're going to delete a line of code and everything's going to be unbalanced, and then your code's not going to run, and you have to like go down the line and be like, oh, which one is it? Which one is it missing? So right here. So again, and this for each, this is all. I think it's called it's one of the Chrome VS Code extensions. So if I want to do a for loop, I can do for. So right here, it knows I'm creating a for loop. It automatically comes in here. It says for loop JavaScript language basics, and it already kind of creates the skeleton of a for loop. So if I want to comment that out, in order to comment out a bunch of lines, I can highlight the entire line by Command Shift over, and then holding the shift key, I can go up, and then I can comment everything out by doing Command /. So for index and index array, so array length, I want student names. Instead of doing that, because I want to do student names here, and I want to do student names here. Elements, I want to do name. So if I want to go back and I know like, oh, array, if there's multiple, if I want to change multiple variables, I want to change name. So I want to highlight array and type or hold Command D, and it will highlight everything that is of that. So I want student names, and it already knows that I'm looking for students. So I'm typing student. It's like, oh, here's student names, because you're typing student. And it's like, oh, there's already a variable in here. So click that. Instead of element, I'm going to change it to name. Then I can watch this. There. Now I can run node, hello.js, same thing. So what I did was copy the console log. Uh-oh, something's not balanced. What is it? Oh, there we go. In order for me to copy or like cut something, so for example, if I wanted to paste this hello Tom, this console log down here, I can just go to the line and press Command X, and it automatically cuts that entire line. And I can move all the way down by holding Command and pressing the down arrow, and it goes to the very bottom of the page. And I can just paste it by doing Command V. Does anybody have any questions or want me to review anything that I just kind of did, like quick? So if I wanted to copy a bunch of lines, like if I wanted to copy this, I can do that, which is, I'm holding Command, Shift, highlighting the entire line. Then I'm holding Option, Shift, and going down, and it's copying it. But for example, if I wanted to move this for loop at the very top of the screen, instead of like copying it and then coming up here and entering and pasting it, I can just move this whole thing by highlighting it. Let's see how I do it. Oh. What's going on? How come I? Why is it? Oh, yeah, sorry. So if I highlight this whole thing by doing Shift, up, 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 then holding the Option and just pressing up, it moves the whole thing up for me. Now I can clear down here. Oh, what happened? Oh, error. It's like, okay, what happened? It says username at hello index. So here's an error that I encountered that I didn't think about. So it says at hello.js, so my hello.js file, at line 1, which is right here, it says here's the code, student names. This is where the error is occurring. It says reference error, cannot access student names before initialization. So that means I'm initializing student names after I'm actually executing the code. So that means I have to move student names above this, and then it should work. So I saved it. I'm down here in the terminal now. Let's clear that. Hello.js. Does anybody have any questions?
Hi, Tom.
Yep.
I wanted to ask before where you were able to, I kind of missed it, where you were making the for loop, where it filled in all the parameters for you? How did you do that again?
So if I literally just type in for,
Yeah.
one of the VS Code extensions we installed, it's almost like an autocomplete. It's like, hey, you typed in a for, and when it knows that you're in a JavaScript file. So for, you're more than likely going to do a for loop. So here are all these different things you can do. I can just leave it at like that. Or it's like, okay, here's the for loop. We have a for each, for in, for of. So I want a for loop. I just click on it and it automatically.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. What else? Is there anything else? No. Does anybody have any questions? Want me to go over anything real quick again?
Real quick, how did you go from the open directory in the terminal to moving that over to the left hand? Yeah.
So I'm going to exit out of here. Open this up again. So I'm at the root level. I want to code platoon. So this is the directory I want. If I want this specific directory in here, I want to load it. I can do code space -r period. And it's going to reload and open the current directory I'm in into VSCode. So it like closes and reopens. And here it goes. And I already had this open. So it's like, oh, you probably wanted to keep this the current state of the last time I had it open. And then in here, so I'm down here in code platoon, CD and the Lima. There we go. Challenges. Out. No. All right. Cool. What other questions do you have? I highly recommend just navigating, doing everything in here inside the terminal until you get really comfortable, and then start. If you want to create files, you can do it in here. If I want to remove, so I'm ls rm test2. So I just deleted the test2 file. What else we got? All right. Nobody has any more questions? Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to get started on the challenges for the rest of the day. I'm going to kind of cover GitHub and forking and cloning so you can complete the challenges. So let's be back. Actually, let's be back at 2:35, and then we'll get started then.